Hey everyone, this is the Millionaire Hippies podcast with your host, Boom Shikha, where we chat about spirituality, business, and health. We all want to live self-actualizing, fulfilling lives with joy, prosperity, and gratitude. Let's go on this beautiful journey together.
Hey everyone, it's Boom Shikha, and I am so excited to welcome a guest onto my podcast for the very first time. Her name's Angelique, and she's a transformation and energy healing coach. And I'm going to let her introduce herself because I feel like that's more passionate coming from the person itself. So welcome to the show, Angelique. I'm so excited you're here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm Angelique. I live in Berlin, which is the capital of Germany. With my husband, and we have a little dog. Well, she's not so little anymore, Amy. She's an Airedale Terrier, is a little bit stubborn and does a lot of mischief, but we love her also dearly. And we like to take hikes all around Berlin and visit the several lakes we have here.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah, I have a practice here. But this year I've been taking my business online also, meaning a part of it. I combine transformational coaching with energy healing. And I found out during my training and studies over the years that is something good to combine to get to the root cause of problems or issues my clients might have. I work mainly with women who are empaths. So they might be having different, I wouldn't necessarily call them problems, but issues with realizing that they are an empath and how to, integrate that in their everyday life, in their relationships and their work and how they perceive things. Because when you start realizing that you're an empath, that might bring you to a journey which might be hard at first. Doesn't necessarily have to be that way, but it is for most of us. And when all my gifts developed, I was actually looking for somebody like me.
Interesting. So can you explain what an empath is?
Yeah, an empath is normally, not normally, without exception, every human being is an empath.
Right.
We are able to monitor our feelings and other people's feelings. Now, the word empath, as it is used in our language nowadays, is when your emotional intelligence and your way to perceive other people's emotions is heightened.
I see.
That could happen to some outside circumstances. That could happen to, I don't know. It doesn't have to be necessarily triggered. Some people are very sensitive and empathic as a kid already. Sometimes it might be suppressed through the upbringing, school, or family, friends, and it might develop at a later or come to the full potential at a later stage. And when that happens, it usually brings up some issues because you might be feeling everything and everyone, which is not always a pleasant,
I can imagine.
To do.
Yeah,
and it is good to learn about boundaries and about yourself, and that there's nothing wrong with you, and that actually being an empath or very sensitive, without me meaning that is something necessarily bad. That your empathic gifts are actually gifts and not a curse.
Right. And so can you kind of explain to us, what does your coaching session look like? And what do you do in it? Is there a lot of conversation, or do you have like workbooks that they have to fill out? Like, just explain to us how that goes.
At this moment, I coach via Skype.
I see.
So I have an evaluation which my clients fill out before they talk to me the first time. So I already get an idea in which stage they're in, what issues they are facing, how their life circumstances are, so that we can really dive in from the first session.
Wow.
And so naturally, my client will tell me about their issues and what their thoughts are, and usually we take it from there. I have a sort of a curriculum I follow, because the main points are usually, they might differ a little bit, but it's always about boundaries. It's always about knowing yourself first. It's always about how to implement change in your everyday life. So I have a toolbox which I open and tailor to the need of the client.
I see. And so what happens when they're very empathic is that they have a lot of input into themselves, but they're not able to deal with it properly. And so you help them deal with that. Is that correct?
That is one side. And the other side is differentiating what you're feeling, if those are really your feelings or not.
Oh,
because
I see.
Because in the beginning, what might happen, you might accumulate during the day some anger, frustration, even anxiety or depression from other people, and you might feel all those things, but actually you're fine.
Oh, right.
So in the beginning, we live, fortunately, we live in a day and time where you can research everything online. So a lot of people already know, okay, maybe this is not my feeling, maybe this is so-and-so feelings. Mm-hmm. Or I've been to grocery shopping and maybe I've collected something there. But then necessarily they don't know how to get rid of that, how to really be grounded and not let anything which is not aligned to you enter your shell, so to speak.
That's really interesting. I like the word that you use, grounded. Can you kind of explain more about that? How does someone ground themselves?
It's actually a little meditation I teach. Mm-hmm. In short, you visualize yourself that you're growing roots from your feet to the ground, and you're kind of channeling the earth energy, which is kind of wandering to your feet, upwards through your body, and leaving through your crown, without getting overly into semantics now. Mm-hmm. and from the top, whatever your belief system is, if it's like God, the angels, the universe, white light is entering into you and feeding you from above. So you're kind of held in between of those two energetic fields, which cleanses your emotional and spiritual field. And because if that is clear, then you can totally feel yourself, which is crucial to set up boundaries.
Do you recommend any kind of physical practice like yoga to help ground people, or no?
Actually, any form of exercise is good. It depends. Like for me, I'm a recovering perfectionist. So anything what would involve running or any other sport where you can, actually yoga is also, I mean, the whole point in yoga is not to make the poses perfect, right? But to be in the moment and the whole spiritual side of it. I love yoga because somehow that doesn't trigger me, and I don't look around to see if anybody else is doing this pose better than I. Mm-hmm. So I can stay with myself and fully enjoy the practice and do something solely for myself, which I sometimes have a hard time.
Right.
So, but for somebody else, maybe running is a good thing, or lifting weights is a good thing, or I think there's no one size fits all for everybody.
That's such a good point. That's absolutely what I would say to anyone who's kind of looking for any kind of coach. You got to talk to several different people and see who fits with your personality and your own goals, and then you go along with that coach, because there's so many individuals who can help you but there has to be a fit there. You know, you just can't go to the first person you meet and say, can you help me change my life, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I thought was really interesting that you spoke about is energy healing. And I love that because it's becoming more popular in this world now. People aren't thinking of it as something that's dangerous or kooky. It's actually something that a lot of people are embracing in their life. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, some of my friends who are not familiar with those type of practices, they were like a little bit taken aback when I started out on this journey because they were like, okay, energy healing, what's that supposed to mean?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and it's a little bit woo, and
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
really know what it's about. But actually, I mean, everybody practices energy healing in their own certain ways. I mean, if you hug somebody because the person is sad, and then you're already practicing a form of energy healing, right?
That's such a
Or a
good point.
mother,
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
or a mother who lifts their child to embrace it and to cuddle it or whatever is also a form of energy healing.
Right.
So now I've been blabbing away and I forgot your question. I'm sorry.
Tell us about energy healing. Like, how do you use it in your practice? I mean, do you use Reiki? So you know you're using your hands to energy heal, or are you using thoughts or conversations?
Okay, what I learned is a different. It's actually similar to Reiki, um, without. There are a lot of similarities. I don't use any symbols, which I believe is a part of Reiki.
Yeah.
Also, you don't have to get attuned.
Right.
But I channel different energies who assist me during my work.
Okay.
So that is one thing. If I see somebody in person, I would work with my hands. But what I also do is I work a lot with my voice, meaning I would walk somebody through a meditation or visualization. If it would be cutting cords or taking back your power or around anything which is there, so that they can walk with me through it and have a sort of an insight or an aha moment, which I think is crucial to change.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Like a Eureka moment where you realize, oh my God, I didn't realize I did things that way. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're able to see yourself in a completely different light.
Yeah. And I've been a journalist for 10 plus years, and I don't know if it's because of that or because I like to teach.
Right.
So usually people can follow my voice very well, and even if they say they don't like meditating or are not able to visualize to do visualizations because they're either impatient or they say they lack imagination, they can follow my voice and I can take them through it, and that is really powerful for me and for them, and for them to also take an active part in whatever it is they're trying to solve or change or move or shift inside of them. Like I'm taking it's because energy healing can be at times, okay, I'm feeling drained and burned out, and please just lay your hands on me and then I'll feel better, and then we can do this every 2 days.
Makes sense.
Of course, that is something one can do, but it won't necessarily help or heal or shift whatever is the underlying cause.
I see. Right. Because it's just like a temporary band-aid onto the solution.
Yeah.
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 Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And so it sounds a little bit like you're also a meditation coach. Is that accurate or?
No, actually, no. I help my clients to develop a form of spiritual practice, whatever that it may be, because I think that it's very important for everybody to get centered at one time during the day. But I'm not necessarily a meditation coach.
Right. Okay. But I mean,
It's more like,
I think
yeah,
meditation is. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, it's more like a mindfulness coach.
I see.
Like I look for tools and teach tools to practice mindfulness and self-care practices.
Right.
Yeah.
So self-care, that's an interesting one. So can you name some self-care practices that you recommend?
I can I can talk about my self-care practices.
Yeah,
What I
definitely.
do, I have international clients. So what happens is that my day can be very long. Like I usually work during the evenings also.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is I don't start working before 12.
I see.
So I might get up with my husband, sometimes not, and will indulge in some self-care practices. That could be that I would listen to a podcast, or like today, I took a very long sea salt bath with some essential oils and put some music on. Sometimes, if I'm not feeling well, I might do some automatic writing, which I can recommend very highly. Or if the moon is right, during full moon or new moon, I might do a release technique and, do some affirmations with the moon, and either in regard to new beginnings or endings. Yeah.
Ah, interesting. So new beginnings or new endings. So what do you do journaling with that, or how do you do that?
It's actually the form that I do it is actually an African release technique. Actually, I forgot the name of the tribe, which is a shame. They see the moon as a female, which we also do, as a female person.
Mm-hmm.
And in essentially what you do is you write down what you want to change or what you want to release. And then you face in that case, the full moon with release. You look at the moon and you say in your own words, dear lovely shining moon, please illuminate my face and take my grieving, sorrow, depressed, whatever it is, face.
Mm-hmm.
So you read all the points you have on your list and repeat it as often as needed till you feel an inside shift. And then you just take that paper and burn it or bury it or whatever you fancy doing with it. Some sort of destroyment.
Interesting.
And that's
Okay.
it. Yeah. Mm.
And does that, I mean, how do you feel after a release like that? How does it feel on the inside? Do you feel like there's a release, or does it take a couple of days? How does that go?
It depends what you're releasing. I did it once where I was grieving, and that was hard for me. So I felt something inside after reciting it a couple of times, and then I burned it, and then it was all in tears. I didn't necessarily feel good in that moment because I was feeling kind of unstable. But then I went to sleep and I got up the next morning and I was feeling a whole lot better.
Ah, okay.
I believe, with maybe smaller issues or, things you want to get rid of, it might be easier. But it's all about setting the intention and following through with it, and taking your own self accountable for your own happiness, which is a big thing, I think.
Oh my God, it's so big. Taking responsibility for yourself and your life. It's a lot of things. A lot of people don't do that. They give responsibility away to their parents or society or the government. And as soon as they take that responsibility back onto their own shoulders is when the real transformation begins, I believe, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing to wish for something or to actually, sometimes we don't necessarily have the strength to battle like whatever it is, what is ailing us for centuries, right? So obviously sometimes we need somebody to take our hand and guide us through it. And then sometimes we have to take small steps, one after the other, with maybe a moon technique or with lighting a candle every day. It doesn't really matter if it's a grand gesture or a small thing, as long as you just, have the feeling you're actually doing something.
Right. Yeah.
and are not stuck inside your own. We all have this feeling, right? I also have this. So sometimes you might feel stuck and drained and burned out, and you don't really feel like doing anything. You just want to hop from your bed to the couch and binge watch and eat chocolate all day and go to bed again. So that is okay for one day or even for two, but then if it prolongs, it won't necessarily help you with energy. You will even feel more drained and more depressed. So looking at where you're at and doing even small steps will help you in the long run as well. Several small steps also reach Rome, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. Great things happen little by little. I say that to a lot of people that I know because we're so impatient. We want everything to happen right now.
Yesterday.
And so we need to kind of slow down and realize, okay, if we keep on taking these steps over time, maybe a long period of time, but over time, what we want will come to fruition. But we have to be patient.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you said you have a lot of international clients, and I'm guessing you work at all hours of the day. How do you create boundaries in your own life? I mean, how are you creating those boundaries with your clients? Because I'm sure you're giving away a lot of yourself to these people.
That's true, because one part of my work is, the transformational coaching and energy healing, which I do via Skype.
Right.
But then in my practice here in Berlin and remotely, I do energy healing for people who are severely sick. Like I have 1 to 2 spots a week for people who have cancer in the late stages.
Oh my God.
And who I assist with energy healing during the process of them going through chemo or radiation.
Right.
So in my case, those 2 spots are pro bono, because usually when these people are severely sick, they don't have any financial funds, right?
Right.
So this is my way of giving back.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that is. Of course, there's some detachment you learn when you become a coach or a healer. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, when somebody's so severely physically sick, without putting a grade on it if emotional is more worse than physical, but it can be, for me, mentally and emotionally draining, because sometimes I might see the outcome, which could change in the course of a couple of weeks also. That also happened, but sometimes I might, that doesn't necessarily have to be a client. That can also be a random person. So I have to really make sure that I take care of my own energy, and that I schedule in playtime with friends, going out, and self-care practices. Because what I notice, if I don't see other people because I'm exhausted,
right,
then my self-care practice begins to crumble also. Because this is more isolation, right? Mm-hmm. Somehow in your mind or in your heart, you think, oh, now I'm doing this self-care practices. I'm here all by myself. I'd rather, see somebody and chat about whatever it is. So finding a balance there, and I actually do it religiously, that I schedule that in beforehand if I can. So that not necessarily every evening is filled with work.
Right. That's awesome.
And then when I notice that it gets too much, I will leave space in my calendar so that I can take a day or two off. I don't necessarily work back to back every day, because in this stage, I need to refuel my energy quite a lot. Mm-hmm. And being an online entrepreneur has also there is also anxiety and doubt and everything which arises in me. So I need to deal with that in order to stay healthy and sane. So I'm trying to monitor myself regularly, because what happens if I don't? Then I'll be unstable and unbalanced, and then all this information about other people will come flooding in.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
that's the point where it gets very unhealthy.
It's so funny that you mentioned the doubt that you feel as an online entrepreneur. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of people about this, and myself, I've been going through so much doubt. I mean, am I on the right path? Should I be doing this? Should I just go back to a 9 to 5? It's just so much easier if I just did the 9 to 5, etc. So I totally get that, you're feeling this. And on top of that, you're healing people. That seems like an extreme drain on your energy. So I'm glad that, you have this kind of boundary set up and you know how to take care of yourself. It's so, so crucial.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it could be as easy as not taking yourself too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I had this conversation a couple of days back with my, I believe it's called brother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the moment, a lot of things are happening, like people are attacked and there's terrorism and racism and I don't know what not happening all throughout the world. So he was very sad about it. And sometimes I noticed it with myself. You might feel a moment of happiness and then you'll feel guilty because everybody else is suffering, right?
Right.
But in terms of your own sanity, it is totally, I mean, maybe you eat organic, you do something for animals, you help the homeless, or even you smile at a stranger who's passing by and who's a little bit grumpy. You do what you can do, but you can only do it if you refill yourself and have your own happiness and peace and balance inside of you. And there's no reason to be guilty or ashamed about it. You have to have your own islands of happiness in your life, no matter what happens around you.
That's so beautiful, but I love that. That actually is such a good point. So many people feel so guilty because, I mean, I live in Canada and we're so lucky up here. We have such a peaceful country. We have so many amenities. We have free healthcare. I mean, we're living in one of the best countries in the world. And so many people here feel so terrible because there's so many places in the world that are going through so much. And, instead of feeling guilty about it, like you said, you need to kind of do what you can to make this world a better place every single day and take care of yourself. Because if there's one more happy person on this planet, it means that the general happiness of the world is improving. But if there's one more unhappy person, then it's just adding on to the unhappiness in the world. And that's not useful.
Yeah, right.
So this is awesome. Thank you so much, Angelique. How can people find you if they're going online and they want to search for an energy healer or a transformation coach? Do you have a website that you can share with us?
Yeah, it's under maintenance at the moment, but that will be going live very shortly. But you can find me on the angeliquethehealingcoach.com.
Perfect.
And you can find me on Instagram, where I'm quite active, and on Facebook as well.
And what's your Instagram?
It's Angelique the Healing Coach as well.
Perfect. So that's easy. Angelique as in ANGELIQUE, thehealingcoach.com. Awesome. Thank you so much for spending time with us. This was so interesting. It was so interesting. I love this stuff. I mean, I love energy healing. I love transformation. I think you're doing an amazing job in this world where there's so much negativity. I feel like you're like this positive beacon of hope that you can, change people's lives just by using their own self. And that's so important because the minute we go inside ourselves is when true transformation happens.
That's true.
So I'm so grateful that you took the time to spend with me. I know you're a busy person.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful and I'm so excited. I'm sure we'll be doing this again. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye to all of our listeners. And I want all you guys to thank Angelique and go and check out her website or her Instagram, Angelique the Healing Coach. Bye for now, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.